the top comics that you need to know about for Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos, comic book fan. Welcome to another episode of Top Comic Book Picks with VM Campos. This is the series where I show you the top comics you need to have on your radar when you go to the comic shop. These are the comics that you can get when you just walk in the door. These are the top #1 comics that are coming out. These are the comics that you should be pre-ordering before they sell out. Now this is the short version of the video. Head on over to patreon.com/vmcampos to get the longer version, where I go into more detail about more comics, which is more good. For only $1 you'll get access to that. You'll still get some good stuff out of this shorter video, but go get the longer video at patreon.com/vmcampos. It's only $1. I think it's worth it. Alright, let's start off with the comics that just strolling into the shop you might be able to pick up. These are comics that I like for various reasons. Let's start off here with Marvel Comics. We've got the Immortal Hulk #27. So Al Ewing is really creating an interesting story, isn't he, with, this new version of the Hulk. Alex Ross covers. That's like the #1 reason why I'm kind of sold on these comics. Like these Alex Ross covers, I just loved what he was doing with Spider-Man when he was on Amazing Spider-Man for a few years, and now he's on Immortal Hulk. So here we've got the Hulk versus Dario Agger, and I guess if the Hulk's hand wasn't there, we would see a big old naked Minotaur peen. But in any event, we get this epic confrontation, and the story is some monsters are born from Gamma, other monsters worship a different kind of green. In his war on the human world, the Immortal Hulk is taking the fight to its lords and masters, the Roxxon Corporation. But when you mess with the Minotaur, you get the horns. So this is coming out on the 20th, something interesting to pick up this week. The Immortal Hulk #27, Legacy number 744. Next up, All Good Things Must Come to an End, Star Wars #75, the final issue. I can't believe that Marvel Comics got the license back for, Star Wars after having it in the 70s and the 80s and then losing it to Dark Horse in the 90s and the 2000s, and they got it back 75 issues ago. Here's the final cover. I'm talking about the Greg Land version of the cover. So pretty on model characters here that feels like Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher's good, and Mark Hamill looks a little bit off, but yeah, that's Luke Skywalker, and it's the final issue. Greg Land cover right there, Greg Pak writer, and Phil Noto interior art, and Phil Noto's art is amazing, so even if he's not on the cover of this one, the interior art is amazing. Final issue, it's a trap! The epic Rebels and Rogue storyline reaches its explosive end. Can C-3PO save the rock people of K-43? Is Warba the master or the student? Which champion falls? And how much of Luke's desperate plan has Darth Vader foreseen from the beginning? The search for a new rebel base continues. So if you didn't know, this is happening between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. So, final issue of Marvel's Star Wars comic. Is a new #1 in the future? We'll see. Over at DC Comics, I love this cover so much. This is a Francesco Mattina cover. Look at this. Let's just examine this cover. Like, I don't even need to say anything. This is just beautiful Mattina art. I just love this so much. This is continuing the City of Bane storyline. This is Thomas Wayne. So if you haven't been following that storyline, that's Bruce Wayne's father from another dimension. Writer Tom King, interior art by Mikhail Janin. It's Chapter 9 of City of Bane, and it's time for a reckoning in Gotham City. Thomas Wayne has joined forces with Bane, and that alliance threatens to throw a monkey wrench into Batman's plans. So I love this cover so much. I haven't been following this storyline very much, but I'm on board just by this Francesco Mattina cover. Teen Titans #36 is the year of the villain acetate cover. Okay, this is really cool. I really give them props for kind of doing something interesting. DC Comics is doing these acetate covers. You really have to see it in real life to see what it really looks like. But what we've got going on here is one cover that then you peel it back to reveal another cover. Below that main cover is this other kind of alternate cover below the acetate with a virgin treatment. So I really like the gimmick on that. That's the original right there. And then we've got the acetate pulled away. Like father, like daughter, Apex Lex has given Lobo the power to control Crush, and together they're going to take down the Teen Titans. Try as she might, Crush struggles to resist Lobo's influence, but to her horror, she starts to enjoy the madness. Okay, well, I love Lobo ever since the 90s. When I went to Comic-Con 1993, I picked up all his books in the 90s. I loved it. And I like seeing classic Lobo back. You know, I read the Marguerite Bennett version of Lobo. It was fun. It was fine. It was okay. But I want to go back to classic Lobo here. And Crush is a pretty cool character. I like her, so I'm going to be picking this up. As a matter of fact, I'm also going to pick up the other one. This is number 36. The same thing, this other variant. This is an Alex Garner cover. I'm loving the Alex Garner covers. He's been doing all these variant covers for Teen Titans in this like really realistic, like 3D rendered style. They've all come out very well. He did one with Crush already. It's kind of like 3D generated, 3D rendered. You can see it in the chain right there. It looks a little bit more 3D rendered compared to the other covers that he did, but there's Lobo's big old hook and then Crush and her own chains right there. So yeah, like daughter, like father. I love that cover. I'm going to be picking it up. I've been enjoying these Teen Titans books, and now we've got this epic clash going on. Next up, we've got Supergirl number 36, cardstock, variant year of the villain cover. This is a beautiful Derek Chu cover. This is on par again with like the realistic style that I just showed from Garner, but it also reminds me a little bit of Art Germ's style. And this is just classic, revealing the super person outfit below the civilian clothing. Beautiful expression. I love how those glasses are falling off too, and great like highlights on the glasses. Just a beautiful cover. Supergirl the Infected. Brainiac 1 attempts to contact Supergirl at the Fortress of Solitude, but for what nefarious purpose? So this is writer Mark Andreyko and Eduardo Pansica and Julio Ferreira as interior art, again covered by Derek Chu. I'm on board. How about we move over to Image Comics, and we've got Pretty Violent number 4. So this one is kind of gives me vibes of I Hate Fairyland or F Fairyland. That Scotty Young book that I really enjoyed. This is by Derek Hunter, Jason Young, and Spencer Holt. It's just a hilarious kind of book. It's so over the top. Technically the name, Pretty Violent, with lots of swears. This is number 4. Gamma Ray makes a deal with her know-it-all supervillain older brother in order to become the most successful hero in history. Relax, how could this possibly go wrong? So this is just like a fun book. You know, all of that gloom and doom in the other comics perhaps melts away with a fun comic like this. Next up, with Dark Horse, we've got Neil Gaiman, American Gods, Moment of Storm, number 7. This is cover B by David Mack. I love this cover. There's just so many covers that are in contention for my top covers of 2019. This is like a beautiful watercolor sort of style. It's very sketchy. Hey, I just noticed there's like some little action figures in the background. And what do we have? You did well. You made peace. It's in the trunk. So just like a very evocative, weird cover right there. There's Neil Gaiman and Craig Russell, writers. Art, Craig Russell, Scott Hampton, and cover by David Mack. Confronted by revelations about his past and future, and determined to put a stop to the upcoming divine bloodbath, Shadow puts himself at the center of the battle between the new and old gods. Isn't it fascinating that we've got Neil Gaiman over at a Dark Horse comic? He's just so synonymous with DC and Vertigo. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. Moving over to IDW, and speaking of things that never change, Disney Comics and Stories number 8. This is the regular Alessandro Freccero cover with a variety of European creators here. It's just some classic Disney stuff, and this is the style that's just kind of like the house style at the moment of many of the Disney comics from international artists. I kind of love this loose flowing style, and there's the classic, kind of shark character. Donald Duck takes center stage once again with 3 stories featuring everyone's favorite Poor Luck Duck. So I'm picking this up because, again, comics can be fun. It's not just all gloom and doom and multi-issue plots that take all year and you forget all about them. Sometimes, 3 stories in one comic for the price of $5.99. That's pretty cool as well. Next up, Tank Girl. So Tank Girl Forever, this is issue number 8. I love this cover by Greg Staples. Now, Previews World, you're saying that this is the Black Frog. That's not the Black Frog, because if we even look carefully on the signature of the book, that's Greg Staples. So Greg Staples, super realistic. I love this art as well. You know, I love the usual Brett Parsons art, the cartoony style, but this, I just love this. It's so wacky. Hell is round the corner. And there's a little booga. I kind of want that. I want that booga bandana for myself. And look at this, even the detail with like the smeared lipstick on Tank Girl and the tattered tank top. This is just gorgeous art. This is Tank Girl Forever 404. The hilarious climax of Tank Girl's caped crusade from her original creator, Alan Martin. Could this be the start of a grand new superhero cinematic universe? No, absolutely not. Illustrated by fan favorite artist Brett Parson. Yep, I love his art and these covers. He does great covers as well, but I want to get the Greg Staples cover instead, which leads me to believe, is there a Black Frog cover? Because his art is amazing too, so I'm going to be on the lookout for it. And lastly, I've got the Vampirella number 5, cover E, cosplay cover. I'm a sucker for these cosplay covers, and Dynamite has been knocking it out of the park, finding a great cosplayer to really make their characters come to life. So here's another Vampirella cover. I love this raven-haired cosplayer. Very authentic costume, and she's out there in the woods doing Vampirella stuff. Seduction of the innocent continues. Following her mother Lilith's advice, Vampirella chooses to end her loneliness by engaging in community, connecting with friends, building a new career, and creating roots within her adopted world, which invites inevitable consequences as her enemies continue to gather for a mysterious purpose, and her mother receives a visit from a man from Vampirella's past. This series has been pretty fun. It's like more violent than I thought, very sexy as well. And Vampirella, 50 years old and doesn't look a day over 18. So I'm picking up the cosplay cover. And there you go, this was the short version of the video. I picked 10 or so comic books that might be cool for you to pick up when you stroll into your comic shop this week. If you want the longer version where I talk about the number 1 issues coming out this month and talk about the comics that you should be pre-ordering far in advance, head on over to patreon.com/vmcampos, and for $1 you'll unlock this week's video that gives you all of that exclusive information. If you don't have that dollar right now, no worries. Head on over to patreon.com/vmcampos and just click follow. Follows are free and you will get alerted to all of the things that I publish every single week about comic books, magic cards, technology, art, etc. But if you've got $1, you can join the VMC crew, get the longer version of this video plus other exclusive stuff. At the $2 range, I'll actually mail you a curated comic book straight from my collection as a thank you. What did you think of my picks? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you next time.